Hi, welcome to Awake TV. So today Sue and I are gonna talk about we are not following gurus. Nobody's guru is, guru is a 3D consciousness, and doesn't matter that is a political field, a spiritual field, or business field. 5D consciousness is not about following, including, following some high alien civilization, not following anybody. So what we want to talk about is this. So, Sue, what your opinion about this? Like worshiping someone or something, and think you are less than these people, and got to listen to these people.
Mm. I think the best place to start is where the term guru came from. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're talking about an ancient concept in
Mm-hmm.
our terms of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think humans, during the times of the original gurus, they had a lower consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
the 3D consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And there were difficulties, obviously, wars, societies not getting along, power and control struggles, those sorts of things that go
Mm-hmm.
along with 3D consciousness.
Yeah.
And so I believe what happened was there were enlightened ones
Mm-hmm.
that were sent even back then to
Mm-hmm.
help and assist society.
Yeah.
And they had a higher consciousness. And
Uh-huh.
so their wisdom was easily felt
Mm-hmm.
by the people that were of the lower consciousness. And this isn't a judgment statement. This is just talking about the difference in understanding life.
Yeah.
Um, so, of course, they were looked upon as, the wise and the ones that had all the knowledge and the wisdom. And it would feel that way to a 3D person
Mm-hmm.
because this elevated soul has come in with these high concepts that were making sense to them, but they
Mm-hmm.
had to study them and they had to practice them and they had to write them down. And so I think, without belaboring it too much, that's what happened a long,
Mm-hmm.
long time ago. And that was the inception of the guru. Now, if we're talking today, I think many, many people are of much higher consciousness than
Oh
3D.
yeah, for sure.
So, um, but that principle of there's someone out there outside of myself that knows more than I do is still prevalent even in spiritual circles, but
Mm-hmm.
especially in the scientific community and all other communities. It's still a widely held concept that there's someone outside of me that knows more than I do or better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is why we want to talk about this today, because you and I understand and we know that, just because we're attracted to a source of information, it's because we're thirsting for knowledge and we're trying to, educate ourselves about a certain topic. And
Mm-hmm.
so we are naturally drawn to individuals that are speaking on that topic that have a light to them that we're
Yeah.
attracted to. So we want to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're human beings, and even if they're not human beings, like you said, if they're galactics, they're still not God's source energy that, knows everything.
Yeah.
So we have to also rely on our internal abilities to determine whether that what we're hearing is true for us.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah, because the moment we give somebody the status of guru or whatever name you want to give them, they know everything. They're a leader, they're a spiritual teacher, they're a healer, they're whatever they are. As soon as we give them responsibility for knowing it all or being the ultimate source of information, we then do two things. We subtract our own power from ourselves of
Mm-hmm.
being able to intuit
Mm-hmm.
what is truth, and then we give them this power over us. And the minute they disappoint us, in a sense, like someday we're listening, and then all of a sudden we realize that we don't agree with something they're saying, then they've fallen off this pedestal that we've put them on.
Yeah.
And it's our fault for doing that. It's not their fault for being human and falling off or
Mm-hmm.
being wrong about something or being misguided about something.
Yeah.
It's our fault because we put them in the status of being guru. They should
Mm-hmm.
know it all. And I mean, I don't know one human being, not even Einstein, not even in the wheelchair. I can't think of his name right now. Um, no one human being knows it all.
No, not at all. Like, I always had the skeptical idea about the Buddha. Like, my mother's side of family was a monk, and they worshiped, Buddha. And
Hmm.
then I read his autobiography, and my thinking was, he's a human being who got enlightened. Why do I have to pray for someone who is a human just like me? I'm not going to put him some kind of god status. I thought that was ridiculous. And I kept that my thought within myself, because some people do believe in Buddhism.
Hmm.
And, I didn't, it didn't really buy me into their religion, right? And they did have the code of ethic, like we share in all religions. So I was thinking, oh, that's a good idea. But as long as someone is a human, I felt like, why do I have to listen to you? So my attitude was like, it's a good thing archangel showed up after my awakening, because I wouldn't listen otherwise. If Buddha or whoever showed up, like, am I gonna say, who are you to talking to me? Archangel, I was like, okay, Archangel is telling me what to do. So I argued back as much as I felt like, telling my opinion about it. I don't shut up about it. But it back then I felt like if they tells me to do something, I was like, okay, who am I gonna say? Like, they tell me to get certain activation on my birthday, maybe I should. So I kind of listened, certain orders they tell me to do for a while. But after, like, you go through your growth period with them, then they're not going to tell you anything anymore. Just like raising the child, after they know certain things, and then parents not going to tell you what to do anymore. They encourage how you learn from your own experience, right?
I think that's the important part, is where did that archangel come from? And as we were saying, it comes from within us. You were ready to awaken at that time, and obviously ready for that information. Otherwise, the angel would not have presented to you. You were receiving that information. We have that ability all the time, every day, ever since we were born. We just didn't know it. And so the more we open up to that heart center space, which is where everything is, including source, um, instead of relying on, say, a priest or a monk or anybody in the scientific community to tell you what your truth is, you can listen to the information, but I think it's our responsibility, and it's where our power lies, to sift through it and decide,
Yeah.
does it have meaning for me?
Mm-hmm.
And as we had said before, both of us had been indoctrinated in the Catholic religion. I knew as a very young child that some of the things I was hearing, I just did not believe in. I just knew it. And so I was always respectful, and I went through the motions until I became of an age where I could, um, but it just didn't make sense to me. I knew somehow that I could connect to God anywhere that I was. I mean, I could see such beauty in nature, and in so many things in the world, that it was evidence for me that there was God everywhere. Why wasn't God in here? Of course God's in here, or source, or whatever you want to call prime creator. um, why did I need this guy over here who, oh yeah, but who's a priest, who, that, by the way, later is causing trouble in his own family? So I had clergy in my family.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a very special point of view when it came to things like that. I could see their humanity. There
Yeah.
was a nun, and there were several priests.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they were bad people, but I'm saying they were human, and I could see that
Yeah.
as a child, because you'd hear one thing in the mass, and then you'd come home and you'd hear other things.
Yeah, that's like
And
my Buddhist situation, like my mom's family, right? They were no way in the position to teach about the religion, you know?
yeah, once you have that bird's eye view of who they are as human beings, you realize that I don't have to go through this individual to connect with God, that it's already there.
Yeah, and then I met so many priests, and then depends on the person, they have their own point of view. Like one priest told me, once you watch TV, you go to hell. you know and then the other priest was very contemporary. So whatever the Catholic Church teaches you as a sin, he has a more contemporary point of view, like how we are adapting whatever we are doing right now, and then do you really call it as a sin? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
So,
noticed that when I moved from Virginia to New York,
so
the
I'm
difference in
thinking,
the churches. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh, priest depends on the person. Some of them are crazy, and some of them make sense. You know?
Well, one of my favorite priests, I'm sure he must have passed on by now. His name was Father Justin, and
Uh,
if there was anybody I would listen to, it was him because he didn't even really like get up on the pulpit and talk about um, or at the altar for
mhm.
us. He didn't get up there and just spit scripture at people. He would talk to us like human beings. And,
Yeah.
he might mention Matthew or Luke or, whatever, but it was always in weaving into discussion as we as human beings in these times,
Hmm.
how we are to treat each other and how, we're to be in this world. And
Hmm.
I could feel his light.
Yeah.
I just always wanted to be near him. I just wanted to be in his presence. Even if I wasn't hearing his words, I just wanted to be in his energy. I was a little kid, so a lot of times I'd space out in church. But just being in his presence made me very, very happy. And so I never fought going to church with my grandmother in those years.
Hmm.
And my grandmother was a very light individual. She
Hmm.
was beautiful, beautiful human being. And so anytime with her, and then I got to be with Father Justin, it was awesome. Let's get out of religion for a minute and talk about other types of gurus. You want to?
Yeah, in spiritual world especially, right? We have all those big figure of spiritual guru, right? And people follow like each word they say is some kind of Bible, you know.
Yeah,
But I think it's a good idea for us to have a healthy sense of skepticism or discernment, right? Because everybody are not perfect. So we
mhm,
can just take what resonate us. Well, we don't have to take everything from this person, right?
I agree. As a matter of fact, my mentor, 30 some years ago, he always said that. He said, even if it's me we're talking about, take what you can use, take what applies, what feels right to you, what you can utilize in your life, and let the rest go. Don't be concerned
Mm-hmm.
about it. And he always also said that the right teacher would show up when
Mm-hmm.
the time was right. So I thought about that when you talked angel, because I think of the angels as the teachers, our guides, our masters, our guardian, archangels. I think of them as our teachers. They follow us in our lives, and they provide hints and curiosities and things to consider, but they never force us. It's free will.
Oh yeah.
So we can never be told by them what to do. They can suggest, and we can either do it or not because we live in free will reality.
Yeah.
And so I believe that 30 years ago that, always the right one would show up when I'm ready for it, for the
Mm-hmm.
information. And
Mm-hmm.
it has been like that my whole life. With the, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, Deepak
Mm-hmm.
Chopra, any of those that many people consider gurus,
Mm-hmm.
they've shown up right at the time when I was consciously ready
Yeah.
to understand the information,
Mm-hmm.
but not a minute sooner. And so there's synchronicity there. There is, I think we can assume that if a new person has come into our awareness, that there's something from them that we need to hear. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but there's
Mm-hmm.
something. But
Mm-hmm.
then what you said comes into play. We have to discern. We have to not look at them as some kind of God, or they're the ones that with all the information.
Yeah, like some of them are good at one aspect of teaching, right? I
Yeah.
mean, let's say I was following a lot of relationship coach, like when I was in the entertainment field, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing is, that's what I do now. The point is, I was following these people and then getting their teaching, and that was extremely helpful for me, especially like guys' point of view and that kind of thing. You don't know if you're a girl, like how they think. So I was attracted to, someone like Matthew Hussey. He was very loving and also very straightforward, right? And that was helpful. And also realistic approach about how, let's say, when you're in the dating field, how you can put yourself on the market without chasing a guy, but you're not going to be passively waiting for it. So I was thinking, wow, that was a good, example. But I didn't look at him like, wow, he knows everything. I'm like, well, he knows about relationship and dating, you know, or other
Some
fields.
perspective of it, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Because there are many, right? But
Yeah.
it was
So
helpful to you.
yeah, it was helpful for me, and then I was originated by him, and that became part of me, for example. But when he, you know I don't think he was talking about spirituality or anything, but if he happened to start talking about it, since it's not his field, I'm not gonna take his word as a word of God.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah. Yeah.
it's always a good idea to learn from someone, because it's a good idea to be humble. So you can also learn from anybody about what they know more than you do. But that doesn't mean you're going to put some person at the pedestal and worshiping them,
Yeah, because that gives our individual power away.
Or we
And
are losing our power, or we are losing our discernment. We're putting ourselves into the position that we stop thinking for ourselves.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's a dangerous place to be because
Mhm.
then, I mean, don't we, at a certain point, don't we call that brainwashing?
Yeah.
when you when you no longer think for yourself and you're just waiting for that next crumb, that next nugget of information. Tell me what to do, tell me what to do. That's victim consciousness.
Yeah.
And I think what we're trying to do is really move away from that and come into our own power. And so what do we do, Erica, when we realize, because this has happened to me, what do we do when we realize that we've been assigning this sort of like, oh, they know it all status, this guru status to somebody? Once we realize that we've done that, what do we do after that?
To me, it's a good idea, like, is to look at the person as a person, and then this person happened to be good at this category, but everything else probably not, just like me. You know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
if we happen to be, people start looking us at that position, it's a good idea to emulate like Archangel Raphael. Like Archangel Michael was a little bossy, so he's not a good example. But Archangel Raphael always told me, hey, I think it's a good idea for you to start learning how to heal. So my answer was, why do I have to learn healing? I'm in the entertainment industry. What's that got to do with me? That was my answer. So he was extremely persuasive. And he was like, oh, I think it's a very good idea for yourself to heal. And then I said, well, you got a point. So I'm going to do it for free. Then I'm going to do it. So you're going to bring me someone who is free and teach me how to do that. That was my complete attitude of it, right? So he did the angel thing and then brought me people who can teach me like Reiki 1, 2, 3 for free. That was my starting as a healer,
Hmm.
training. And then I eventually, decided to pay for whatever I was interested in, but I wasn't. But whole point was, Archangel Raphael always suggests something, but he never told me this is what you should be doing. The choice was
Good.
always up to me, right?
And how
So
did you make the choice when he would suggest something to you? How did you go ahead and decide
we,
whether you were going to
we kept
follow that?
we kept on talking. I wasn't following what he said, but he kept on talking about his idea, and then what he said made sense to me. So instead of refusing, like, oh, this is my way, like I'm not gonna listen to anybody, like to me that's very arrogant, you know. If
Hmm.
something makes sense to me, so that's what I usually do if that makes sense to me. But I say I'm not gonna pay any money for it. Because since that's not anything to do with my profession, why do I have to spend my money? That was like my point of view back then, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't listen to him, but I told him, you gotta bring someone who gonna teach me for free if you want me to learn about healing. You know, that was my attitude toward
You
Archangel.
had a little hang up on money back then, huh?
Well, I didn't. To me, I was very like practical. To me, like if it doesn't bring me any kind of practical benefit in my business, I don't really want to spend any money which is not beneficial for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was just picking on you. But for me, I just when I started realizing that some of the people that I was putting a lot of weight into everything they said,
Mhm.
reading all their books
Yeah.
and then, it kept happening over and over again. Like the first one I can think of would be years and years ago would be Conversations with God by
Oh
Neil
yeah.
Donald Walsh.
Mhm.
Okay. So I love, love, love his work, and I still, I have it. It's on my nightstand. Actually, it's
Mhm.
not a Bible, and he makes it very clear this is not a Bible. But for me, I'd be going right along, going yes, 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 and then all of a sudden I'd read something. I go, wait a minute, that didn't feel so great, and I don't know about that. So I'd just keep on going and, like file it for something to think about later on, some concept that he would talk about.
Mhm.
And when Neil Donald Walsh got to his third book
Mhm.
of Conversations with God,
Mhm.
it was like it all came together because one of the discussions was about our own personal filter.
Mhm.
And I think that is so important to talk about in this discussion today because no matter where we're getting our information, whether it be another human being or from the galactics or from the angelic realm,
Mhm.
we each and every one of us have our own filter.
Yep.
And that filter is created by all of our life experiences in this life, in past lives, in our souls, okay,
Mhm.
what our beliefs are, how have we
Mhm.
evolved to this point in time. And because of our own personal experiences and beliefs, we see things and interpret things in unique way.
Mhm.
Every single one of us has our own unique way of perceiving life and what is around us and information.
Mhm.
And so when I'm channeling or you're channeling, no matter what high source we're channeling information from, it's always, always going to come through our own filter.
Mhm.
And this is why I say to people, like if they ask me a question and they want information, say I'm channeling Raphael, for example, and he's my primary angel, so I love Raphael. I agree with you. His energy is very
Yeah.
relaxing and gentle, gentle, gentle. So say I'm doing a channel for somebody, and I always preface to them and say, there may be something in this message that I didn't understand correctly, or because of my life experiences, my understanding of the information that came in may be skewed. in
Mhm.
some way. Or so all I can ever give you is, and I don't take money for this, I don't do this for a profession purposefully because I have a filter. You know, I use my channeling and psychic abilities to help others, but I don't charge for it. So anyway, um, and I use them during our quantum healing sessions, which I do charge for. But point being, I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Meditate, think about it, let the information come to you, and if it isn't right, disregard it.
Yeah, that's really important. And then this is a part of the reason you and I decided to be a quantum hypnotherapist, because we believe, each of us do have a filter. So when our clients are looking for their own answer, the best way is connect with their spiritual team or their higher self. So without any filter, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
And
Let
that's
them
why
get
we
their
provide
own answers.
yeah, that's why we provide this service to our client, because we can say whatever. I do channeling on my YouTube, but I don't really provide a channeling service as my program. um, I mean, accessing with Akashic record is not exactly channeling, because I do really have to access that record. But
Mm.
the channeling is like I'm accessing aspect of who I am. So
Yes.
that still goes through my filter, like whether I'm accessing Twin Flame Goddess Collective or Ashtar or whoever or angels, I can tell this is why easy to channel, because that's part of me.
Yes.
And I don't
Yes.
get tired of channeling because that's part of me. But when I access Akashic Record Gatekeeper, I get so tired of it because that's not part of me. I can
Right.
know the
Right.
difference between, and that's why I had to charge money for it, because it's really tiring, by the way. Um, because that's not part of who you are, and the world of Akashic record or galactic record, they have their own, I don't know what to say, the realm of this world. They keep this stuff in each district or each section, but they are very independent entity or group consciousness or whatever. So they are very neutral, so they don't really have access to, I'm not saying access, but connection to the individual filter, if that make any sense. You
A
know what?
little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Like we have our angels, higher selves, like highest angel selves, but like my understanding of Akashic record or galactic record is some of the high realm of angels are keeping those records, but they don't have any aspect of their soul to other individual souls, whether
Yeah,
it's,
that's like their primary job, that they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
energetically connected to the individual soul, and that's why it takes so much effort to get to them and
yeah, it's
access them. Yeah.
hard,
Yeah, I got you. I understand.
so they have to
So,
be
y-
neutral to the.
yeah, they have to be neutral because they're kind of a gatekeeper, so to speak.
Mhm.
So for people who don't channel, or they don't believe that they can, what kind of tips can we give them for accessing their own internal information?
Well, they can meditate, but the part of the reason why you and I provide our services, for that reason, because not everybody can access their information through meditation, but we are professionals, so we know how to guide you going to that state. And
Mhm.
then we help you to connect with your spiritual team or your higher self so you can get the answer. So that's
Yeah.
my most practical way of telling you, if you want to access, contact us. you know, that's
Yeah.
what we are here for. And that's
Um,
how we provide our service, because you and I, both of us feel like your direct access to your higher part of self is a purest information instead of
yeah.
going through other people.
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 absolutely, 110%. And I'll tell you, just having had my own session before I went into becoming a practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
um, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that the information and the healing that I received was real because I experienced it. Not only did I see it, I felt it, I heard it. I mean, I was all encompassed by the energy of my higher self. And then I was connected to the central sun. And then I saw my heart come up in front of my face and I
Mm-hmm.
saw the energy come into it to heal it. So anyway, if someone had told me that story, I'd be like, oh, great story, kind of cool. There's really no substitute for experiencing it.
Yeah.
Now, what about when we're reading or listening to a guru? What do we do then? How do we know what our truth is?
If we resonate with whatever they're saying, just take that. I do watch tarot card reading, but I'm not gonna take everything what they say. Some part it makes sense to me, so I was like, wow, it's really cool. Some part like, not really sure, so I just leave it.
Cool.
So you
Yeah.
can use everything for that, not just tarot card reading. Like I do like Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I like how he explains a lot of scientific facts and the quantum stuff, and then he teaches his stuff how to brain relate with disease and stuff like that, hormones. It's something like I still appreciate, but like I don't look at him like, wow, he can solve everything for us.
Yeah.
But a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm
what
right with
he
you.
says makes sense to me, so I do listen. But that's a part of the information. Like you like book A, you like book C, you like book D. All of them you appreciate, but you're not gonna look at everything like this one book is a word of God.
Yeah, it's not the do all end all, right? And it's not the complete story. I mean, none of it is, right?
Mhm.
We're still figuring that out, and that's why we're alive.
Yeah,
Um, and I would just say, like, if you're reading something and all of a sudden you get this feeling, we all have intuition, okay? It's not unique to any one person. That's one of our gifts we come into life with.
yeah,
So if we're reading something, we're hearing something, and then we get some kind of reaction, just that momentary, "Nah, I don't know about that," like you said, I don't know if that's true, or I don't know if I agree with it. Um, that's telling you that that information is not for you.
yeah.
It's not true for you.
And then just
And
someone is famous, like you don't have to listen to that person. Like just because your friend recommended, oh, this person is so good and famous, when you don't feel like you're resonating with this person, you know, like you have your person, you feel like wow. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be famous.
exactly. And that just reminds me of this whole idea of influencers, people that get paid to get on the social media and everything with their products.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you really want to be influenced? How about just be real? Like, I, I have the same coat that I had a couple years ago, and I wear it because I like it. It's nice and warm, and it's got a fuzzy collar, and I like the way it feels on my neck. And
Yeah,
honestly, I don't care too much whether it's in style or what other people are wearing. I mean, come on, people, be yourselves, be unique.
yeah,
This is what the beauty of life is not trying to be like everybody else. Okay, so like that would be my biggest message. No
mhm.
gurus, and be true to yourself. Don't try to
Yeah.
be like everybody else. That's what makes you special.
Yeah, just take a good part from everybody. Being humble is a good idea. You're not the God. I'm not God. Sue is not the God. I mean, we are a God, but we are not the God. We are God who is running to become prime creator someday, which is all galactic beings are doing. We don't know how long that's going to take to bring us back to the prime creator. It's a long journey. That's what ascension journey is all about.
You mean
But yeah,
returning to
returning back,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that's the journey is.
We should talk about that next week.
Yeah, we will.
Let's
But
do that.
uh-huh. So we are still learning. So we can learn everything, anything from other people because other people know more than you do, whatever that is, right? And then when we feel like, oh my God, I want to learn this from other person, then just learn it and take it, and then not take it like steal it, but make it part of who you are. So you become more enriched yourself and become better version of yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah.
that's my take on guru or whoever you feel resonated with it. And then one thing I was told when I was talking to archangels, they told me not to study from anybody. Don't read anything, don't watch anything. If you want to talk, you talk with us. So I wasn't really told to read anything. When they felt like they wanted me to introduce someone, like eventually, Bashar is one of the entity they said, oh, you can start listening to Bashar if you want to. The thing is, if I want to, right? So
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. I mean, if we're attracted to something, chances are there's probably something or someone, if we're attracted to someone's work,
yeah,
there's a big chance that there's something in it for us.
and that
That
was.
doesn't mean we got to buy the whole thing, right?
Mhm. So even angels had this attitude about, oh, you listen to Bashar, not like that, Bashar, like I think we highly recommend you for you to listen. So that's how I was introduced by one person or the other entity or whoever to listen to, but I was never told to listen or told to read any books. Like eventually,
It's all just suggestion, right?
suggestions.
That's why they call them guides. They don't call them benevolent dictators. They call them
No.
guides
I
because they
haven't been listening any of those. I don't care who they are.
good stuff.
Yeah,
So next week we'll cover I guess we'll cover our return to source, huh?
yeah, we'll talk about that.
It's a
So
big
thank you
topic.
for listening. So Sue and I are gonna talk about return to the prime creator next week. And please like, share, subscribe, and we see you guys next Friday. Bye.
Bye.